Welcome to the heart and soul of outdoors radio. It's the Hooking Up and Tracking Down Show. In our 11th season, we continue to share facts and give advice on the great outdoors, where we never let the lack of facts come between us and a good story. Guys who are dedicated to helping you become a better outdoorsman. Your host, Gary McCoy, who's no stranger to the radio world or the outdoors, with a CMA to his credit for best personality. A well-accomplished outdoorsman who loves the thrill of taking a big buck or putting a bass in the live well. Mike Eccles, born and raised in Louisiana, who's fished and hunted his entire life and continues to chase ducks in the backwaters and pull bass off cypress trees. And the Boss Tournament Trail Director who runs the best team circuit in Louisiana. Steve Graff, raised in the woods and waterways of East Texas, a former Northwestern State two-sport athlete and tournament angler who continues to strive for big bass and winning stringers. And last but not least, Jay Watley, the brains and producer of the show who pushes all the right buttons, a man with unmatched talent who excels in making these guys look good and this show sound great. Now let's jump off the front deck and make the first cast with the boys who know it all, Gary, Steve, Mike, and Jay.
Hey, thanks so much for tuning in. We are hooking up and tracking down 1130 The Tiger. It's Gary McCoy, the old Ranger Iowa pro staffer, Steve Graff.
That's me.
Mud Hen Mike Eccles in the house.
Happy to be here.
And Jay looks a whole lot different this week.
Does.
Jay
He
grew
does.
2 feet.
Well, he lost a little weight.
Yeah. And cut his hair.
Cut his hair.
Shaved off some of the beard.
Yeah.
He looks a whole lot like Puff.
Yeah, he does.
From over at 710 Keel.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what he looks like. I'm not sure about all this, but
well,
we're
glad to have him. I know that.
Thank you so much for being here, brother. Jay's on vacation this week and next week.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if he's doing like what is he on a cruise like what Eccles did, or is he with a family on a houseboat up at Lake Hamilton like you, Graff?
You would think we have influenced him enough that he'd be doing some kind of fishing or hunting trip.
Oh
maybe.
yeah, he's probably elk hunting in Alaska. What do you think?
Doing a bear hunt.
Can you imagine?
I bet she's playing golf.
Can you imagine Jay? Is. Can you imagine Jay in a pup tent in the snow with somebody like Steve Nichols or something up there?
Yeah.
Here's Steve. This Andre the Giant. Yeah. With Jay, like the world's shortest man,
Danny DeVito.
One of the Smurfs.
That'd be hilarious going bear hunting. Hey, this part of the show is brought to you by Steve Nichols and Specialty Traco. Brother, we love you. Despino and Jim South Tire and Bayou Outdoor Supercenter kick off this fall with a new camper or motorhome from Bayou Outdoor Supercenter in Bossier City. And this week's Facebook sponsor spotlight, Silver Star Steakhouse and Barbecue.
Does it get any better?
Dude, let me tell you what. I went over, what was it? Was it last week? No, week before my birthday. And Julie asked me, she said, where you want to go to eat? And I said, that's a stupid question. Yeah. Silver Star, they're still open, aren't they?
That was a stupid answer.
Yeah.
You didn't pick Olive Garden?
No, I didn't pick Olive Garden. I'm nothing against Olive Garden.
No. I love Olive Garden.
I'm sure they have a senior discount, and I'm eligible for it now. But no, we went over to Silver Star, and the boys all got the steaks, and I got one of I always get that steak salad.
And it was your birthday?
Yeah. And it was my birthday.
And how much did it cost you?
Not a dime. Not a dime. Julie paid for everything.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was my checking account, but she paid for it all.
And one day the boys will pick up the tab.
No, that'll never happen. No.
They won't.
Any rate, Silver Star Steakhouse and Barbecue, of course, with the stage at Silver Star, and this Friday night, John Conley is going to be there at the stage.
That's a big time.
Rose-colored glasses, Friday Night Blues, Common Man.
That will attract a certain crowd. There won't be many people under 45 years old go to watch.
You know what, though? It's amazing.
That's not a bad thing.
But it's amazing how many younger people are starting to really appreciate the retro, the classic country, because that's what their daddy listened to.
Because today's country sounds like crap.
I didn't say that.
I do.
Now, I make a living with it.
I know you do. I know you do.
I
know your hands are tied and your tongue ought to be.
No.
But
I only tie it to impress people.
No, that's a cherry stinger.
And we want to welcome Rio Ammunition, one of our newest sponsors.
Yeah,
Let me tell you right now, when you start thinking about the economy of today's duck hunter, I mean, compare the cost today to what it cost 20 years ago, or even 25 years ago before steel shot came around. Well, thank goodness there's somebody like Rio that's out there that's making a really good quality shell, 2 3/4, 3 inch, 3 1/2, whatever you're looking for, whatever size you're needing. And they can do it, for those of us blue collar workers that can't afford, these shells that are $45 a box.
2 years ago, my good friend, hunting fishing buddy, the ultimate shopper, internet shopper,
Joey Hood.
Yeah, he told me he does it every year. He said, "Well, you can't even hear him when he talks." He says, "Rogers Sporting Goods has got Rio ammunition on sale." I said, "Rio? I've never even heard of them. I've never have shot them."
Yeah.
And they were on sale, and I bought a case.
Yeah.
And just because they were on sale, I fell in love with them.
Wow.
I mean, no, I bought them because
now,
they
which
were on
one do you
sale.
shoot? Do you shoot a 3 inch shell or 3 1/2?
I shoot 3 1/2s exclusively.
Do you
I'm
really?
probably the only person in the world that shoots 3 1/2s during teal season.
Now, tell me this: when you're shooting 3 1/2 inch shells, and you've got a really good day, a lot of birds coming in and stuff like that. Are you shooting a 12 gauge?
Yeah.
Arm hurt?
Nope.
I mean, shoulder hurt?
Nope.
No.
I never know when I pull the trigger.
Well, you got to understand, they're hunting Bistono gear. They're not shooting.
A really good day is like 3 or 4 shots.
It ain't wearing him. It ain't like he's on a dove hunt.
It ain't like he shot 4 or 5 boxes.
No.
He
But I'll shoot a case.
All right, so tell me about the Rio, because I haven't gotten to shoot them yet. Keep your gun clean?
Oh, that was the deal. The year before that, I had gotten bought some, and I'm not going to say, I'm not
Another brand of shell.
Yes, and they shot so dirty that I was literally having to clean my gun or BS somebody else into cleaning it for me because I've always got parts left over. No less than every 2 hunts.
Wow.
It would hang up because the shell
was dirty.
did
Now,
not burn.
how long is the optimum? I mean, how many hunts will you make before you feel like, okay,
With
even with the Rio?
I can almost go the whole season.
Wow. All right, so tell me this. What size shot do you find is, now what kind of a shotgun are you shooting?
I
Benelli,
shoot
Beretta?
the Beretta Extrema 2.
Okay. So what size shot shoots best through your gun?
Well, it depends on the gun. It depends on the choke. But I shoot a 2s or a 4s.
Improved cylinder?
I was shooting a mod,
Uh-huh.
which is a tighter pattern.
Right.
And I've always had the reputation of missing a duck at 20 yards and killing it at 50.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and it's pretty good, when nobody else is shooting and you shoot and kill that one duck getting away.
Right.
But when you've missed twice over the decoys, that's not good. So I'm going to the improved cylinder this year.
Yeah. Get a little
Spread
bit
your
bigger
pattern
pattern.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'd rather kill 2 over the decoys than.
But in all likelihood, that 60-yard, 50, 60-yard shot, you
I still can. I can still probably kill it with the Rios.
Oh,
and
wow.
And a 3 1/2. Yeah.
okay.
I'm 3 1/2 will reach on.
Where around here can somebody get Rio? They've got them at Davis, don't they?
Davis is carrying them for duck season. Definitely got plenty of steel shot. They are loaded up, and they've got some number 8 steel for doves. Believe it or not.
Whew.
Oh, and I did not know this. I text both you guys. I think y'all act like y'all both knew it. The WMAs, you have to shoot steel now.
We had the game warden on this show last year.
I just didn't remember that. I didn't
Yeah.
remember that all WMAs.
No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't. You're just on the show.
Anyway, all
that's on
WMAs you got to have. So
but
they
that-
do carry the steel
That's
there.
that's WMAs and any of the leased fields that the Louisiana Department of Wildlife
Right,
and Fisheries
right.
gets.
That's right.
And I don't
That's
know
right.
if we've got one of those around here or not. I think that's more prevalent
I
in
don't
South
know.
Louisiana.
Well, I know the casino used to be tied in with some lease field up here in North
Yeah,
Louisiana.
that was a
but
private
that's not
lease.
a
That's a-
LDWF
Yeah, that was a
leased
private
field.
lease.
That was a private deal?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
So, long story short, if you're on private land, you can still shoot
Yeah.
doves with lead. But if you get into public property, then
But
you
we
gotta
are
go
happy
steel.
to have Rio on board, and
Amen.
in the next coming up month or two, we're going to start having somebody from the factory, which is in Marshall, Texas,
Right.
come on and do a segment about the product. We've got a couple of times through the year.
You know what I'd like to have is I'd like to have a video on our website, HUTDshow.com. I'd love to have a video on there that shows how you take several shells, several Rio, and shoot them to find the shot that your gun likes best and the pattern that you get on a big old piece of poster board or something along those lines, because you're trying to do a BB count. You're trying to make sure there's not a lot of voids in that pattern. And some guns, and you could have two different Beretta twos, Extrema twos, and one likes a 2 better than the other. The other one likes a 4. I'd love to have a video on there that kind of shows somebody that demonstration.
I actually read a little clip out of an article just yesterday where it showed on pattern the gun where a good pattern was 4 BBs hitting the duck.
Yeah.
4.
Yeah.
And I would have thought it would have been higher than that.
Right.
Yeah.
But you're looking.
I'm lucky if one hits.
You're looking for. You want to eliminate those big voids because some shells will shoot real heavy on the top side, light on the bottom side, and you want.
And it's amazing how the duck can fly through that void almost every time.
Yeah, exactly. We got an interview we need to play here real quick. One of our local boys, Nick LeBrun.
Nick LeBrun getting ready for the FLW Cup in Hot Springs. They're on Lake Ouachita.
Yep.
And one of our field reporters caught up with him during practice.
Well, day 2 of practice is coming to a close here. Lake Ouachita, it's the Forest Wood Cup. We have right now the 2018 TH Marine BFL All-American champ Nick LeBrun joining us. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
And second of all, I know after you won that tournament, you spent a little bit of time out here pre-practicing, so I assume that you're pretty dialed. Tell me a little bit about it.
I don't know if dialed in is the word I would use, but I've got a few different game plans in my head, and I think I'm just going to kind of let the lake and let the fish tell me which one to implement at each given time during each day. It could be a multiple plan type thing.
Sure. Well, there was a lot of guys that we've talked to that weren't really able to get up here and pre-practice. Just kind of the way the schedule worked out this year. They couldn't get up here and spend some time idled around looking for some of that offshore stuff. In the time you did spend here, what were you looking for? Were you looking for deep stuff? Were you looking for grass? Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, the biggest thing in my practice was just identifying what largemouth and spots look like on that Lowrance. Got out that half-ounce spoon a lot and catching a lot of walleye and drum and stripers and yellow bass,
Yep.
So the biggest thing was just kind of having pretty good confidence, say, okay, that's probably largemouth there.
Okay.
And kind of stopping and trying to figure out how to catch them. But there's a lot of different species out there in that brush and on those drops. So to me, it was just getting confidence as far as what they look like.
Well, we're 2 days down in practice right now. How much of your time have you spent looking around out on that deep brush and timber and stuff like that? And have you spent any time shallow?
I'll probably mix it up about 50-50. I think the shallow stuff is kind of, it is what it is, and I don't know if there is some secret to unlock. I think it's going to be covering water and just kind of making sure you're in some good areas and some good creeks. As far as the deep stuff, you do have to kind of experiment a little bit more and kind of get dialed in as far as, what they will bite and what they won't bite and kind of how they like to be set up on those drops. So I think I've spent an equal amount of time, but I've scratched my head a little bit more on the deeper stuff.
Well, with 2 days left, it is kind of an interesting dynamic in this event is the 4 days of practice. Usually, at a tour event, you get 3 days. So a lot of guys, it kind of changes sort of the way they'll practice. Maybe they don't go as long. With all this time, I guess, to spend out here in official practice, do you kind of have any weird things you're thinking about trying later in the week, or does it stick to the game plan you have?
Yeah, it's good you brought that up. This practice right now is kind of the weird, crazy off-the-wall period for me. Before cutoff, I kind of got a few good game plans locked in, and I felt like I did my work and I did my homework, and if the good Lord wants me to do good, I will.
Well, I haven't really asked anyone this, but from what you're seeing on Ouachita and the time you spent here, what do you think we'll see maybe for a winning weight this week?
I would think probably around mid-40s, maybe 43 to 45.
That's kind of what I've heard too.
Yeah, I'm probably the most inexperienced guy in the field, so it may take more, it may take less, but just the fish that I have set the hook on back, before cutoff, and just kind of my gut just tells me I think mid-40s you'll have to get beat.
Okay. Last time, we didn't really see a whole lot of spotted bass get mixed in. You know, you could catch some 2-pounders. That'd be about it. Here, the size is a little better on those. Have you caught any good-sized spots this week?
No, haven't. I've caught some keeper spots. I've kind of got a few things going on that if I need a bailout, I can go and just get some keeper spots. And I think the guy who figures it out and wins this deal, you know, could have 3 or 4 spotted bass weighed in over the 3-day period.
Oh, okay. I like it. Well, it's actually a pretty optimistic report from Mr. LeBrun. We appreciate it. I'm going to let you get rolling. Find some air conditioning, man.
Thanks.
It's hot. It is hot out.
Good luck, Nick LeBrun. The FLW Cup this week, Lake Washington. Of course, we'll try to keep you posted on our Facebook page as to how he's standing and what's going on with that World Competition there.
We can do that.
On the way, Americana Outdoors host Wade Middleton. We're going to talk about preparing for dove season. It's next. Hooking up, tracking down. 11:30. The Tiger. Once again, hooking up and tracking down 11:30 The Tiger, brought to you by Daiwa Rods and Reels, J&J Exterminating, V&M Baits, Paul's Farm and Garden, and Silver Star Smokehouse. Now serving the best barbecue in 3 great locations: Shreveport, Bossier City, Texarkana. They've also got the new grill out South Shreveport near Ellerby Road.
Yeah, somebody ate there, said it was really
and
good.
A brand new location up Highway 1 North. It's kind of like a takeout, kind of almost like a quick stop. I think it's even got a drive-through.
Oh, really?
So actually 5 different locations now.
And they're not all the same as the steakhouse in Bossier.
No.
Right.
And I talked to David the other day. I'm thinking there's about soon to be a 6th location.
Wow.
Hey.
See,
Natchitoches? We
I
need one
want
in
David. I want to go to work for David.
No,
I'm telling him right now, David, I want to come to work for you. I want to do your hiring. And money is not negotiable.
Those poor little ugly girls that
That's
he hires.
right. Money is not negotiable. I will not pay you a penny over $25 an hour to let me come hire those girls for you.
Silver Star, great barbecue, fall off the bone ribs, the best steaks in Shreveport, Bossier. Those great locations again in Bossier City, in Shreveport, Ellerby Road. You've also got North Shreveport off Highway 1. You've got the locations, in Texarkana, the whole 9. Yeah. So check that out. Owner David Alvis and his great staff invite you to try the best barbecue west of the Mississippi. Great location for a family or holiday celebration. Go to silverstarsmokehouse.com to book your next event. Silver Star Smokehouse, taking barbecue to another level. It's Gary McCoy along with the Ranger Iowa Pro Staffer Steve Graff. The Mud Hen Mike Eccles is here. And on the phone, Americana Outdoors host Wade Middleton. And Wade, we're getting ready for dove season around here. Hopefully you can steer us in the right direction and help us prepare the right way.
Well, there's a lot to be said there. Hope everybody's doing good today. I can't wait for dove season every year. It kicks off the beginning of fall, all that excitement level. So dove season, burning a few casts out there, good friends. It doesn't get much better.
Wade, now when you start preparing for dove season, how many bags of corn chops do you put out around
2
the
bags,
tanks and the
3.
ponds?
That was my question. I'm glad you asked
okay.
that.
Well, since I've always had a little nervousness about those flashing blue lights, those guys with badges and tickets, there'll be none of that around.
It sends me into a fit.
Yeah. Gary's actually seen them before.
I just start running. And it's hard for a fat boy to run with a 12 gauge and 4 boxes of shells.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do weight you down, cause your pants to fall off.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Well, what would you say is the first part of preparation?
Scouting, no
Yeah.
doubt about it. I mean, you got to be where the birds want to be, whether it's around water or it's around a food source, some kind of agricultural field. That's just the bottom line when it comes to finding the birds.
We had the weirdest year here this year. It was just exactly what you don't need to grow your sunflowers, your crabgrass, any of the millet and things like that. It seemed like we got rain a little bit too early, and then it just stopped. And when it did, we essentially have gone through a drought that's lasted for the better part of the last 60, 90 days. Yeah. What does Mother Nature provide, in those drought periods that you can start finding those doves in?
Well, I'm a big believer now. I grew up in Oklahoma, moved to San Antonio, Texas a long time ago, and I've been fortunate to hunt doves all over. They're very adaptable. They're gonna migrate. They're gonna find the food, and if it's not where you're at, unfortunately, they're not going to be in your area. And that's the thing about a dove. I mean, they could be there on Thursday and be gone on Friday. Food source, cold fronts, whatever. So some years are just simply better than others because, just like us, we're going to stop at the best places to find to eat. The doves are going to do the same thing. So if the crops are not there from the drought, the doves are going to move on somewhere else, and you just won't have them that year.
Well, you got to find the water source too. I mean, if you find the water source, you're going to find doves.
And I would agree with that, but without some feed to hold them in the area, what we've learned, especially over here in and around San Antonio, you got to have the feed because they got to eat. Once they find the feed, they'll find the water. And what's happened over here in this part of Texas is this has become, in my opinion, the dove capital of North America from San Antonio going west. And what has happened is these farmers over here have learned that doves are a cash crop, and they're growing sunflowers. And because they've got sunflowers, and they're using irrigation just like you would for corn or whatever, they really hold doves year-round. And those birds will water. Literally, they'll fly into backyards in towns and water the bird bath. But because the food's there, those birds stay around here all year long now.
Hey, Wade, Mike Eccles here, and thank you for being with us. Give me the number 1 and number 2 dove feed when it comes to a planted crop or a natural crop.
My favorite is obviously going to be sunflowers. I mean, the same size sunflowers, especially for white-winged doves that, we like to spit out at a ball game, are going to be the number 1. In my travels, I've seen that be highly, highly successful. The number 2, sesame seeds. It's ironic. I look back now, I've had some great hunts around sesame seed fields, and you don't see a lot of them. They're just fairly random when you do find them, but it seems like once those sesame seeds pop open, whether it's white wings or mourning doves, those birds really flock in there. Now, obviously, both of those are planted. I'm not talking about the little native sunflowers. I'm talking about the big sunflowers. The size of your hands. Those flowers get really big.
And a natural crop. I mean, if you're going to have to go out in the wild and try to find something where you can't plant, what's the two things that you look for that you know that doves will feed on?
Doveweed and croton, those types of things. When you can find a good field like that is popped up and started dropping seeds, you're going to find some birds in there. But when it comes to the mourning doves, what we've noticed is basically any type of seed. It's real ironic on those mourning doves because as we know, a lot of different seeds come in at different times, and when you clean them, if you can find something that matches what's in the crop somewhere, like you guys are talking about hunting water holes, when you clean those birds, look what's in that crop. Find out what kind of seed it is, especially in areas where there's not a large amount of agriculture. They're going to feed in the whatever's native, whatever's out there available. I've seen them even eating grapes at times.
Well, you bring up a really good point there goatweed is something that around here, in the wild.
Did he say goatweed?
Yeah.
I thought he said doveweed, and I was going to ask.
Yeah.
No, it's goatweed.
But in the wild, that's something that would you, if you knew you had a really good stand of goatweed in an area, would you leave it as it is, still standing, or would you try to bush hog that? Because that doesn't violate federal regulations. Would you try to bush hog that maybe the week of opening season?
A little bit. What we go on is we've got a couple of food plots that we grow deer in, and we're deer hunting a place out by Brackyville that has we can't do it over here, but we'll knock down a little bit of that. But I think just the natural process that the way these plants go through does it on its own. If you want to see them popping, they're going to drop on their own. The birds, the wind. I mean, a lot of that just kind of makes it go down on its own. And what I've found when you bush hog some of that, if you get too much of it laid over in an area and they can't get to the dirt and move around and feel comfortable in there, they don't like it. So it's kind of you don't, in my opinion, you don't want to turn that grass or turn it over so much where it's so thick. You just kind of, and that's why Mother Nature sometimes does a better job than we can.
Gotcha.
But each time, if it's dry, Mother Nature will probably take care of it for you. If it's wet and real thick, I get a little nervous not to much of it down.
Yeah. Now, what about, because I've seen doves really attracted to any kind of a field that had been burned. You're burning stubble or something like that. I don't know what it is about those black fields. Have you learned that's also a big attractant?
I haven't had a lot of personal experience with that, but I've had some buddies of mine that talk about that over around Houston, over around some of those rice fields where they've seen some of that. But I don't personally have enough experience to the other.
Mm-hmm.
Wade, you're fading in and out. I don't know whether you're moving around, but we're losing some of it. Okay, Louisiana has always opened, until 2 years ago, has always opened their dove season the first Saturday of the month, and they opened it at noon. Opening day, and a lot of people don't realize it's opening day of each split. It was noon. But just the last couple of years, they've started opening it in the morning hunt. If you could just had to pick, I got to work, I can't do it. Are you going to hunt in the morning or the afternoon?
I love the afternoon hunts. I think they're a little more predictable, personally. And there's just something about that social aspect of driving out in the truck, everybody together, and kind of, you just have more people out there. Now, we've had some great white-wing hunts in the morning, because they're going to fly out of the cities, fly to the roost into those fields, but I love an afternoon morning hunt if I had to pick one or the other.
Now, Wade, another thing, too, that, a lot of people that are headed to the dove fields, say you go out into a big field and it's, you got 15 hunters. What as a hunter do you look for the best spot that you think is the best spot to be in? I know in my mind what I'm looking for, but I want to hear what Wade
He wants to be closest to the power line.
And to the corn.
And to the corn pile. Right.
Yeah, they're easier to shoot when they land in the tree.
Not me. I'm closest to the ice chest.
And there's a lot of good reasons when they don't fly, you want to be closer to the ice chest. The first thing I do when I get into an area is I look for that flight pattern, that anomaly. What are they going to be drawn to? Because it's so interesting to watch it up. There's always one set of trees they fly by better.
Yeah.
So it could be the power line. Could be a little ridge. Could be, where the water is. And that's the first thing I do before I take off. I spend 10 minutes just watching. And some days on some wind patterns that may change where they're coming from. But that's what I like to do.
Mm-hmm. I've always said look for a funnel, like two fence lines coming to a corner. A lot of times birds will funnel like that, and one big dead tree in the middle of a field is a magnet for doves.
And now this is
sure be.
Wade, this is something that Graff and I found here 3 or 4 years ago, and I'm wondering if it was just an anomaly or if you have seen the Mojo doves.
Oh man,
do you use those or not?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm going to tell you, on a white-wing hunt, those Mojos will suck those birds into you like you would not believe.
Yeah,
it's the most.
There
was a bunch of them we couldn't shoot because they were so into where the Mojos were. We were scared we were going to shoot our decoys.
Yep.
Well, the dove doesn't
Yeah.
live, but on average, about a year and a half, something like that. So they do not grow to become aware of the spinning wings like the ducks do. So they don't carry it on from year to year because they don't live that long. But that's also the reason I think the limit ought to be higher than 8.
Yeah.
Because they're going to die anyway.
Yeah. Wade, thank you so much for spending time with us.
Yeah,
and
man.
I'm hoping as we start preparing for deer season and maybe some turkey hunting in the spring that you might come back on the show with us.
Absolutely, give us a call. We're gearing up for everything and ready to go. Appreciate it, as always, talking with y'all.
And if you get a chance, make sure you check that out.
Yeah.
Americana Outdoors, host Wade Middleton there.
Great program.
And here in a minute, we got a couple of youngsters that just competed in the National High School Fishing Championship from Natchitoches.
Yep.
Finished up 4th place. They were leading at the end of day 1.
Yeah.
They're going to walk us through that whole competition and how cool it is to be an aspiring, possible, professional angler
Yep.
at some point, and what it's like to compete on a high school level now. We're hooking up and tracking down 11:30, the Tiger. Thanks a lot for locking us in. Hooking up and tracking down 11:30, the Tiger, Gary McCoy, along with a Ranger Iowa Pro Staffer, Steve Graff.
Yo.
Old Mud Hen Mike Eccles is here. And the Hooking Up and Tracking Down radio show, thanks to you for tuning us in. This segment brought to you by Cypress Knee Outdoors, Nichols Department Stores, Candyman Pet Lodge, and Bellevue Meat Processing. More than just a meat processor.
Hunting season is getting close, and everybody's going to kill a deer. They're going to kill a hog. Keep Bellevue Meat Markets in mind. Over 20 years of custom meat processing specialists for cattle, deer, elk, and big old pigs. Chris and Carla are always looking to make a better product. They've got a great selection of sausages, seasoning, mayhaw jelly, and barbecue sauce. Pre-packaged mixes for jambalaya, red beans and rice, and gumbo. They offer a great snack stick, too, perfect for the duck blind or the deer stand. Bellevue is the official processors for the hunters, for the hungry. Go to BellevueMeat.com, and I'm going to tell you, hunters, you want to score some points? I've been doing this for 45 years in November. Mm-hmm. I know how to play the game. Take your wife with you when you drop the deer off out there.
Oh, yeah,
pick
she's
it
going
up,
to love that place.
Because when she goes up front, Carla has done such a incredible job of decorating the place and having gifts and stuff out there. It's like going into what you call this right down. What's this? Cracker Barrel.
Yeah.
It's like going into Cracker Barrel out there. So take your wife.
The whole 9 yards.
You'll score some points for your deer hunting.
And Hooking Up and Tracking Down Wall of Fame is in there.
Okay, in studio with us from the North Caddo High School fishing team.
No, North Natchitoches Central.
Natchitoches Central, I'm sorry. Well, you just put NC. What am I supposed to think?
Natchitoches Central.
Okay.
North Carolina.
Natchitoches Central High School fishing team. Wes Rollo and Hunter Owens finished 4th at the Bassmaster High School National Championship on Kentucky Lake. And, Hunter, I got to talk to you for a second because this is just a rumor. I don't want to start nothing, but I figure this is – I heard that you got – what Wes said was you guys would have won this thing if you'd have just carried your weight. Now that's the rumor that's on the street. If you hadn't just been sitting there eating candy and Fritos and drinking Coca-Colas and sitting in the bottom of it, if you'd have been the man with the net, if you'd have made one more cat, y'all would have won this thing.
I mean, Some people say that, but no, I'm pretty sure I carried my weight throughout the whole tournament.
He made that up. Don't believe it.
Yeah. So guys, tell me now. And when you first went to the lake, were you overwhelmed? Was it like, oh my God, there ought to be a fish everywhere? Was it something that you felt like, growing up here in Louisiana, hey, this is something we can do?
I felt it wasn't really overwhelming. It felt just like Toledo Bend pretty much.
Okay.
And it just kind of, we just treated it like it was Toledo and just went out and tried to find stuff that we could relate to, like back home, and that's what we went and did in a way, and I guess it worked out for us.
So Wes, were you looking for a structure? Were you looking for a hard drop off? What was the key feature for you guys and where you found your fish?
Anything pea gravel banks with a kind of a drop off, good drop to it, any tight contours to
really?
a bank.
Huh.
How much pre-fishing did you do on the computer at home before you ever got there?
Not really much before we got there. I know when we got there, we looked a lot on Navionics or anything like that to try to find different areas that we could try, and just got out there and did what we found, and it worked out for us real quick.
If you hadn't had the Navionics chip, how hard would it have been?
It would have been a challenge. It would have been a good little challenge for us to try and do, because without the chip we wouldn't have been able to see all the contour lines up against the bank and then find where it came off at and find shell beds that we targeted out deep and stuff.
Those underwater points and
yeah.
Now, Wes, you said that y'all keyed on pea gravel, but a lot of times, and I don't fish those kind of lakes, but a lot of times you hear the angler say, we're fishing pea gravel, but it was where it went to a bigger rock, a chunk rock or something like that, that variation. Did that play a factor?
Yes, sir. Actually, our first spot of every morning we started in, it was two pea gravel banks that met at a chunk rock, kind of a point, a big, almost tapering point. And we get there every morning, and the shad were busting everywhere, and bass would come up busting on them, and it was crazy every morning.
Was it a topwater bite for you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How long did that last?
It lasted for about hour and a half, 2 hours, and then it started to slow down, and then later on, and then it'd take about 30 minutes to get another topwater bite after that, and then around 10 o'clock or so, it was dead, completely dead. You're lucky to get a topwater.
And what kind
bite.
of topwater?
Spook, topwater walking bait.
Now, you guys were strong leading after day one, right? Going into day two, looking at your results, looks like the fish kind of played out on you guys. Is that what happened? You think you fished them out, or did they move on you? What do you think happened there?
We really didn't. I don't think we fished them out, but we did lose a good 2 or 3 good key fish that we really needed to stay in first. It's kind of hard a lot of times with a.
You'd have wanted it if it hadn't been for Honor.
We probably would have.
I just.
Honor, you're taking a lot of heat today, buddy.
I am.
And there, you had the net all wrapped up in his feet. I've seen him before. That's how it works. I got a partner like that too.
Yeah, that's what Pete Daniels said. But look, in a 3-day tournament, nothing ever stays the same. And the anglers that win, or the anglers that do good, are the ones that go out each day and start over and fish that day. What changed from day one? What changed on day two? And what changes did y'all have to make on day 3? Walk us through the 3 days, what you did, and what you had to do different the next day.
Really, everything all from day 1 to day 3 stayed the same. We started at the same spot every morning, had the same bites.
You didn't listen to me. I said everything changes. You can't argue.
But he did, Mike. You didn't change.
Nothing did.
No, go ahead.
It all stayed.
It's summertime.
It all stayed the same. It's just the fish were kind of, I think by day 3, they kind of got used to seeing the spook come around, and they wanted something else. So,
were you sharing water with somebody else? Did that hurt you at all?
No, sir. Never shared any water.
Well, now, according to Graph, this is the time of the year that bass are looking up.
They're looking up. That starts in May.
So did you try to make sure that you kept that in mind the whole time?
Not really.
But then
Did you wear a ghillie suit?
I'm working with uneducated bozos on both sides of me that don't know. But that's all right. They're learning from me.
Let's do a national poll.
Yeah. Those fish that are looking up, those are the ones I want. Now, how old are you guys?
I'm 17.
I'm 16, about to be 17.
Okay. So,
Young
junior or senior?
Senior.
Now, he threw that in this case there was a 17-year-old girl.
Well, there is. I promise you. There's a 17-year-old girl out there listening, right? And you're a senior as well.
Yes, sir.
So this will be y'all's last year of competition.
Yes, sir.
And I'm assuming the goal is that next year you win the Bassmasters Classic and you never have to work again and you just guide from then on.
Always.
Okay. In reality, are you both planning to go to college?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
You want to be on a fishing team in college?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
What major for you, Hunter? What's your major going to be?
Going to be either agriculture or architecture.
Do you know? Now, this is something that a lot of young men and women need to know. I have found there are so many scholarships in the agricultural field that get unqualified for every year. The money just rolls over because nobody applies for them.
Yeah.
And you could go into something like turf management, which is in the agriculture field where you would design baseball fields, football fields, and stuff like that. That falls in the agricultural department. There's scholarships out the wazoo for that. And a lot of those, even at like big Division I schools at Northwestern and at ULM, nobody applies for them. That's huge for you if you decide to walk into that arena. Now, I'm assuming that you're taking your education as serious as you're fishing.
Oh, yes, sir. Very.
Mom and Daddy have rules about that. You know, you
Yes,
can't
sir.
fish if you don't do your homework.
Yes, sir.
I know his daddy real well.
Have you ever gotten kicked out of, Daddy said, no, you're not fishing because you didn't do this?
No, sir. Well, he said he's threatened me with it, but then I get it done, and then so I don't have to.
There you go.
He just reminds it. He brings it to the front of your brain.
Oh, yes, sir. Very much so.
It usually sounds something like a belt coming out of loops. Pop, 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 like that. Is that what it sounds like?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Now, how many teams were in? Wasn't it 367 teams?
337 teams.
337
Wow.
that they beat, guys.
Wow.
That's incredible.
Wow.
Finished fourth.
Well, when you walked to the scales that first day, was that the biggest moment of your life?
Yes, sir. We came in early because we were doing it at 3 o'clock. We came in at 12:45 when scales opened because one of our fish was trying to go belly up, the biggest one. So we wanted to get
And
her
you
in
couldn't
there.
call a
soon.
dead fish, right?
No,
Right.
sir.
Wow.
So when it was all said and done, did you? I mean, everybody has 20/20 hindsight. Did you look back and go, "This fish cost us, or that fish cost us, or maybe we should have done this, or maybe we should have done that"? Was there any of that?
Not really, except for maybe a couple that we might have lost.
Yeah. When Hunter wouldn't
Without it.
get the net for you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Look, any good team, one angler generally is strong at one suit and the other at something else. But then you have to believe in each other's strong suit.
You bet.
Hunter, what's your strong point? If you're going to go out and you want the fish to be doing something today, because you know you can excel at that, what is it?
Dragging a bottom bait, like a Carolina rig, football jig, or like pretty much flipping.
Okay.
Something in that order.
Wes?
Something like maybe a chatterbait or a square bill, something moving.
Okay.
More of a
Constantly
power.
trying to find.
So you're more of a power guy. You're more of a finesse type guy.
Yes, sir.
Huh. That works good. Good combination.
When it's all said and done, will you guys be the team to beat next year in Louisiana?
I hope so.
You can't hope so. You better know so. You know,
I guess you
that's
could
that's
say
the
it.
most important thing. You know, I will say this, and my fishing partner Pete Daniels has actually won a BASS tournament. And something that he said one time that has stuck with me. I said, you know, what do you think it'll take to win? And what will it take to be, you know, in second place? And he says, well, I don't care what it takes to be in second, because they'll have whatever. He says they'll have less than what we have, and that's the attitude that you got to go, you know, to have when you walk in there. Is that it doesn't matter what the rest of the field's going to do. What are we going to do? And I still believe that we all too often get caught up in trying to beat the other guy when the real opponent is that fish out there. It's not that other team. Do you guys see a lot of, I don't know, do you see fellowship with the other anglers, or are you seeing a lot of real competition where some guys might not be, you know, you might be, well, I don't care if we finish second to last as long as they're last.
Not really all of that, but I mean, I don't know. It's just, it is a lot of competition to it, though.
Yeah.
You always want to beat everybody else. You know, you always want to be in first.
Well, you probably got other teams out there that you've buddied up with. Did you have somebody you kind of share information with a little bit on the side?
Not really.
Not really. Kind of stick to yourselves.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Was there good etiquette at this tournament? Nobody crowding you. I mean, you know, nobody.
No, sir. There was one boat that was on our spot one day, and we come back to it, and they was on the point we was at. Well, farther off they moved off of it. I tried to get on it some, and they saw Hunter catch one fish and tried to come back and get back on it. Well, they asked us if we were the day one leaders, and we told him yeah, and he said he'd leave us alone, let us have the spot.
Oh, way to go!
Kudos to that team. I'm impressed with that.
Yeah, so I was shocked for him to say something like that. I figured it'd be a little
that's rare
brawl going on there for a minute.
Hunter, I've been dogging you. Is there anybody that y'all want to mention?
I would like to mention V&M. Without the drop shad, the pork shad, and the lightning blade, we wouldn't have caught half the fish that we did. And especially the 7.2, that the biggest fish of the tournament that we had was on the pork shad. Without it, we would have been.
That fish would still be swimming around out there.
There you go.
So.
With no hook mark.
Nope.
Of course, you got to thank Mom and Dad. Both of y'all
yeah.
have got great parents. There's nothing more important than that early in your career for that support.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations, boys.
Good
Fourth
job.
place finish. That's awesome. You did really good. You represented us well, and I look forward to talking to you again next year.
Thank you.
And
You're going to be back, right?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yes, sir.
I'm going to tell you something. Learn to win and learn to lose.
Yeah.
Be gracious in
Be
both
humble.
ends of it.
Yes, sir.
And next time when he says get the net, quit just sitting there.
I'll try. I promise I'll try.
We are hooking up, tracking down 11:30. The Tiger. Thank you. Flexing your radio dial selection muscle.
There you go.
I'm telling you right now, you're just proving to the world that you've got the best taste in radio there was. 11:30, the Tiger. We are hooking up and tracking down, and of course, we love to be social. Check out our Facebook page at Hooking Up and Tracking Down Show for outdoor news and videos. This segment brought to you by United Rentals, Mustang Survival, Wildwood Resort, and the Bob Seeley Big Bass Splash Series.
Where amateurs win like the pros. Bob Seeley taking care of the weekend warriors. Up next, Lake Fork, Texas, September 21st through the 23rd at one of our other sponsors, Lake Fork Marina and Motel. $479,000 guaranteed cash and prizes, over $171,000 in hourly payback. And the grand prize is a 19-foot Triton TRX powered by Mercury, plus $7,000 cash and a 2018 Ram truck, all for catching one fish, people. SeeleyOutdoors.com. Go to SeeleyOutdoors.com to see how you can win money just like the pros. All right. Hey, we want to thank Wes Rollo and Hunter Owens for coming in from Niagara Central team. They did a great job, and that was a great interview. Kudos to those guys. I'm
just hoping, that as Hunter fishes next year, he'll learn. You got to help out.
He'll obviously be a better net man after today.
Not that he did anything wrong. It's just Gary chastised him for nothing. This next segment.
Isn't that what a bass tournament weigh-in is for, though?
Chastising?
Yes. Oh, God.
Yeah, but it's people you know.
Yeah. That's okay. We know each other now.
Okay. I was sitting there watching something on YouTube the other day, and I know this is out of the realm. We're going to talk about hummingbirds. And
can you eat those?
Well, you know, you have to do them on a toothpick.
They're hors d'oeuvres.
And what does hummingbirds have to do with hunting and fishing show? But I think it's as much part of that is y'all's golf and baseball and
Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, all that kind of crap y'all try to drag into it every once in a while.
Hey,
but I was watching.
You better be careful when you start talking about our Cowboys.
I was watching this video about hummingbirds, and I got to thinking, if you use a 2 3/4 inch shell with number 6s for teal, exactly what does Rio have that we can shoot hummingbirds with? You know,
a 410
12
shot.
Yeah. But I looked at it, and they've always amazed me since the first time I went to Colorado in 1977 hunting at an altitude of almost 10,000 feet when I had hummingbirds come in to the red and yellow fletchings on my arrows. And try to stick their nose in it. I had no idea that they had hummingbirds in Colorado. But here's just some facts. There are actually 325 species of hummingbirds in the world. Only 8 species regularly breed in the United States, though up to 24 of them may visit the country or are reported as regular vagrants, they call them. The rest of the hummingbirds are primary tropical species, and they do not regularly migrate, and they're found in Central and South America. Hummingbirds are native only to the Western Hemisphere. You're not going to find them in Europe or Asia or anything like that. And I didn't know that. I didn't know
either.
they were. A hummingbird cannot walk or hop. He's got little bitty feet, and he can only scoot sideways on a limb when he's sitting still. That's the truth.
I've seen drunk guys do that on bar stools. They can't walk or hop.
Slide.
And
That's how the electric slide
it
got
says
invented.
they have evolved with small feet to be lighter and more efficient flying. And this, I'm going to quote this, and I'm going to argue with it. They will use their feet for itching and preening.
We couldn't argue anyway, Mike.
Itching
is what you scratch.
That's right.
Yeah.
You have an itch, and you
scratch
it.
the itch.
You don't have an itch.
Right.
And I heard somebody say that the other day.
I'm itching myself. No, you're not. The poison ivy's itching you.
Yeah, that's right. The calliope hummingbird is the smallest species and measures 3 inches long, and the bee hummingbird is the smallest species in the world, and it measures 2.25 inches, and it's only found in Cuba.
Do you know what I found out? The hummingbird's not the fastest animal.
Oh, it's not fast.
No. I thought that they were.
No.
quick.
I'll get to the average ruby-throated hummingbird only weighs about 3 grams, and that a nickel weighs 4.5 grams. That'll tell you how.
So they weigh less than a nickel?
Yep.
Really?
Less than a nickel. The maximum flight speed is only 30 miles an hour, but they can exceed 60 miles an hour in a dive.
Huh.
So
I bet they can't do it long.
No. Well, I don't know. The hummingbird consumes approximately a half its weight in sugar daily, and the average hummingbird feeds 5 to 8 times an hour.
Okay, now tell me this. If we didn't put out those feeders for them, did you, in your research, did you find, what would they eat that grows in the wild?
Anything with nectar.
Yeah.
Anything sweet. Nectar,
Honeysuckle?
sap off trees.
Okay, gotcha.
And insects.
Really?
Really, really small insects. And that's what they feed on when they migrate across. Because you heard me, 5 to 8 times an hour.
Wow.
And they cross the Gulf of Mexico.
Wow.
So they're feeding on insects in the air when they cross the Gulf of
I'll
Mexico.
be dog.
Yep.
Huh.
A hummingbird wing beats between 50 and 100 flaps per second.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
You know what? I've had old ladies that have called me at the radio station every year. Remind everybody, put up your hummingbird feeders because you'll make them stay here. No, you won't.
That is not true.
No, you
That's not
won't.
true.
I mean, that bird knows when it's time to leave.
The rufous hummingbird has the longest migration of any species. They fly more than 3,000 miles from their nesting ground in Canada and Alaska to winter in Mexico. 3,000 miles.
Wow.
The ruby-throated hummingbird flies 500 miles nonstop across the Gulf of Mexico for its spring and its fall migration. And it's a myth that the tiny birds ride on the back of big birds like geese. That has never been documented. That's just an old wives' tale.
I want you to put this in perspective now. I want you to think about that hummingbird flapping his little arms like that, eating nectar out of a hummingbird feeder. Just imagine that was Eccles having to flap his arms fast enough to float off the ground while he's eating a Big Mac.
Or trying to suck on that straw, that crown of water. And that's the other thing. They do not suck through their beak. They have a long tongue.
Like a straw.
Well,
Really?
no.
Oh, okay.
No, it's not like a straw. It's got some little in-shaped barbs, and it actually laps it.
Kind of like a dog does?
Yes, but it's like incredibly fast.
Wow.
Yeah, the males are really popular. A hummingbird have no sense of smell, but they have very keen eyesight.
Okay.
Okay, a hummingbird can lick 10 to 15 times per second.
That's why they're popular.
The peak migration period for hummingbird is from mid-July through August and early September, and depending on the route and the exact species. They, despite their small size, they are a very, very aggressive bird, and they have been known and witnessed dive bombing at crows and blue jays and stuff.
Does it say in there?
They're
Because
very
I know
protective.
they got little bitty feet. They can't walk or hop. Do they roost? Because I've never seen a hummingbird that wasn't.
No. They light in trees. I've seen that before.
Oh, you have seen
on
them
the videos.
park
I've seen
for a
them
minute?
light on people's fingers.
Okay.
They do that. Yeah. Let's see. Hummingbirds have no sense of smell, but they can hear better than humans.
Huh.
They see ultraviolet light, so they can see further than a human. And a hummingbird has a great memory. They remember every flower and feeder that they've been to, and they know how long it takes to refill.
Wow.
I can't even remember where I ate supper last night.
Golly.
That's pretty incredible.
Hummingbirds are the only birds that can fly like a helicopter, up, down, sideways, forward, and back. When the food source is scarce and they are fatigued, they go into a hibernation-like state known as torpor, T-O-R-P-O-R. I have no idea what that is. But a baby hummingbird is
Joey Hood, can you look that up for us?
baby hummingbird's roughly the size of a penny and is unable to fly when it's born.
Wow.
That makes sense.
Size
now,
of a
as far
penny.
as feeding the hummingbirds, we talked about that myth about taking them in. No, the best thing to do is just mix water and sugar.
Mm-hmm.
Cook it for about 2 minutes.
Oh, you do cook. Make like a simple sugar out of
Well,
it.
you want to dissolve it. If you just mix it in there in the water, it's going to go to the bottom.
Right.
It's not going to do it. Do not use the dyes in your do clear, because the dyes can be harmful to
The
it.
food coloring?
Yeah.
Huh.
Avoid.
We'll feed it to kids.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you.
Ever cupcake.
Tell me, what birthday cake?
I was raised on food coloring.
What birthday cake have you eaten that was just clear?
Exactly. I was raised on food coloring.
And it said avoid feeders that have the pad where the water comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Avoid feeders with a yellow pad, because yellow will attract bees and wasps.
Oh.
Hmm.
And it's put them out early in the spring, keep them out late to accommodate, the late migrators or the early migrators. They're not going to hang around.
Do you have feeders at your house?
I've got a couple,
Yeah.
and I've never had over 2 or 3, but I've got a friend of mine over in Marshall, Texas that I've seen as high as probably 40 or 50 at one time around their
Holy crap.
My son-in-law has a lot around his porch, goes all the way around the house. He's got several.
I wonder if they'll eat mosquitoes.
They eat little bugs.
Oh, I would think so.
I just wonder if that would help you with the mosquito population.
And they also said don't put your feeders, when you hang your feeders, either put them right up against the glass or 5 feet away.
So they
That
don't
reduces
fly into
them
it.
and flying into the glass, or actually getting their little bitty beak stuck in the screen wire of a screen door.
I never would have thought about that.
Oh, yeah, I had one time stuck his beak through the screen wire, and I just took a pair of pliers and bent it over and left him there for a week. He couldn't get out. Little known and useless bits of information here on Hooking Up, Dragging Down.
Yeah, that was for all the people that don't hunt or fish on our program.
Amen.
Hey, how many people have told you I don't hunt or fish?
Oh,
and I
yeah.
watch the show?
That's right.
Listen to the show.
Ultimate Mass Fishing. We know you love it. Well, the referee, Mark Randolph, he's always, he's always labeled the butthead in there. But
Yeah, he is.
somebody's got to do it. and I don't think there's anybody better
And
qualified.
Joe Thomas was smart enough to put that job on something else other than himself.
Yeah. Mark Randolph is going to hang out with us, hopefully for a half hour or so. We'll visit with him less than 3 minutes. Hooking up, tracking down, 11:30, the Tiger. Thank you so much for tuning in, hooking up, and tracking down 11:30, the Tiger. Get ready for another hour of the best outdoor show on the radio. This segment brought to you by Ranger Boats, Despino and Jim South Tire, and the Red River Waterway Commission. And on the phone with us, actually a good buddy of mine. Well, long time ago. I don't know if he'll still claim me. Mark Randolph, the ultimate match fishing referee. Mark, it's Gary McCoy. Good to hear from you, brother.
Hello, Mr. McCoy. It is great to hear from you.
Dude, let me tell you what now. If there was ever a guy better fit to be the referee of ultimate match fishing, I don't know who it could be. Because really, you're one of those kinds of guys, somebody really has to work hard to piss you off.
Yeah, Thomas got a winner when he got me.
Yeah, dude. You remind him of that every time it's contract negotiations, don't you?
I do.
Well, Mark, this is Mike Eccles. I just made the comment before you came on that Joe Thomas was a very, very smart move to get somebody else other than himself to be the referee, because there's probably been some anglers left there with a case of the red ass, and that's what you need when you're the guy trying to put the show on.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Thomas couldn't have taken it. He couldn't have handled it.
Has there ever come a point, that something that obviously didn't air, but has there ever come a point where, it really got ugly?
Oh, yes, sir. Oh, yes, sir.
Really?
Yeah, and we used to have a policy that we wasn't going to do anything that would ruin an angler's career because of something they did stupid on our show, and we've adhered to that. Oh, yeah, there's some stuff out there that just frankly scare you. Yeah, it's gotten rub rail to rub rail a couple of times. I'll put it that way.
Well,
Wow.
you were a really big time competitive angler yourself, and so you truly understand what these guys are going through. Tell me, if you were one of the competitors, can you empathize with some of the situations where, they might have had a little rub with you over a call or something along those lines? Can you see where, hey, I'm sorry, the rule's the rule, but I can see where you're coming from?
Yeah, would you like yourself?
Yeah. No, I could, but the only thing that gets me really riled up is when they accuse me of doing something just to harm them. In other words, that I've got it out for them. Because I understand that. I know what they've got money-wise wrapped up in this. I know what they're trying to achieve. I know what they're trying to do because I've spent that same money before. So I would never do that. I guess that's the one thing that will rile me up a lot is when they accuse me of having it out for them. Because even if I did, I wouldn't do anything to tip the scales of the balance on the match.
Certainly.
Well, I know that in a regular conversation right now, you wouldn't mention this guy's name, but I'm going to ask you the guy's name that was on the show last week, Morrell or Worrell or something.
Mullins, I believe.
Who? What was
Mullins.
it? Mullins.
Mr. Mullins.
That
Yeah.
was it. You know,
I just guessed at that.
Yeah. Well, he let you know for 14 years you've been doing it wrong.
yeah, and I don't know how you handled that one. I'm going to tell you. I watched that, and I'm thinking,
me too.
Somebody needs to push that kid out of the boat.
Somebody's taking a butt whooping all the way back to the bank.
He needs to get wet. Yeah.
No, we sit down and had a little talk afterwards. I think we even ended up drinking a beer together.
Oh, good.
He just had his thoughts the way things go, and I just let him know that's not the way it's going to happen. So.
Well, you know what? On the flip side of that, have you had anglers in the boat that you go, oh, my God, I got the greatest job in the world. I have just gotten to witness firsthand a duel that probably would go down in fishing annals as one of the greatest ever?
I absolutely have. Some of the Rick Clunn matches are just amazing. Rick and Kevin Van Dam. You're never going to see Rick and Kevin Van Dam ever fish together. They had never fished together. They will never fish together again. And we had them pit against each other in a match. And to tell you the truth, I can't remember who won. I'm pretty sure it was Rick. But to me, that was pretty amazing. That was history being made to me.
Well, you know, you've spent a lot of time in a lot of different bodies of water. You've caught tons of fish yourself. You know, you've given more classes than most of us have actually even spent that amount of time on the water. Would you say that, you know, as you've been there with these guys, you know, even the old dog, Mark Randolph, have you learned from being there and watching that?
You know, I have some stuff. I'm not going to brag on myself, but I can think of a couple of things. I remember Luke Clausen. I'd never seen braid with the fluorocarbon leader before. I never seen that knot tied. Now I use it all the time. That was, you know, a pretty slick thing. Some of the new stuff that these younger guys are coming out with are kind of, yeah, hey, that's interesting. Yeah, so the answer to your question would be yes. But the thing that always got me, and the question I get asked at a lot of sports shows and stuff that I'm at, you know, just how much better are those guys than us, you know, as far as the basics of fishing? And my answer is always pretty standard. They're not. They are not technically better, but in their head they're better. It's all in their head, and that's where I think about 90% of it is.
Well, Mark, with technology advances, especially in sports today, where you've got all the reviews and they take a time out to go review that play. Is that in our future with Major League Fishing? There going to be some challenges made where
ultimate match fishing
where they threw over the line or
son. You just screwed up.
That's why God made the edit.
We have discussed it. We've discussed labor on the line. We've discussed several things, but and I wouldn't be afraid to go to review type thing like NFL or baseball or something. But it's so hard because the angles are so much different.
Right.
In our sport, in that you just have it's not. I won't use the word judgment call.
Yeah.
But you know, if you don't like that call, don't get that close for it's even a
question.
A question. Yeah. But yet, I still like for them to do it.
There you go.
With these young anglers, like here just a minute ago, we had a couple of young guys, local guys, that finished fourth in the Bassmaster National High School Fishing Championship. And one of the things that impresses me is that, you know, they even acknowledge that, you know, navionics played a big part in them being able to find fish and stay on those fish for as quickly as they did. Are you seeing that the younger angler, because you started like we did eons ago, when, you know, your idea of a depth finder was a flasher.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So are these kids, is it too easy for them, or are they just, because they're coming on like gangbusters and they're really good at their craft?
Oh, yeah. Let me tell you. I'm sitting in the boat right now, getting ready to launch. I fished a little Wednesday night pop-up deal up here at home. we got some high school kids that come on this lake that I've fished for 30 years and whoop my butt every once in a while. Now that's saying something. So they have not, I'm talking my 18, 19, 20-year-old kids. And I think to myself, where did you learn that, man? I mean, it took me 30 years to learn that.
Mm-hmm.
One kid's skipping a buzz bait with a bait cast. I kid you that. Skipping under docks with a bait caster. I was amazed. So, yeah, the new kids really have the technology down right, but there's so much information and they're starting way too early.
Mark, you said something a while ago about when it was talking about some of the anglers may have accused you of testing them personally, and you said I would not do that because I know what they've got invested in this money-wise and stuff. Were you talking about what does it take? How do you get on Ultimate Match? What does it cost somebody to be a competitor, and what can they win out of it? Because it's sort of like it was like Major League. Nobody knows what it costs and what you win. What is the whole format for the anglers? Not the format, but the
pay structure.
Yeah, for Ultimate Match.
Yeah, we used to be at 100,000. Now we're down, I believe, to 50 for first and 2,500 for show ups. In other words, if you're out the first round, you still make $2,500. Now, I don't know all this. We pay for their lodging. Of course, they have to supply their own boat for practice. The way you get to Ultimate Match is through doing well and being one of the top competitors in the nation that we want, and the people out there want, the public wants to see fish. So that's what I mean when I say what it takes to get there.
So it's an invitation. But how do you determine what the public wants? I mean, do you have like a forum on social media or something along those lines?
Yes, our producer has a social media website. We have. I'm sorry, I took my Facebook thing down because it was just getting too stupid. I couldn't keep up with it. I'm a dunce when it comes to technology. But yeah, we get a lot of feedback. In a lot of different ways, and to tell you the truth, a lot of it is Joe and I, like I say, doing sports shows. A lot of people come up and talk to us, and the questions kind of get to being the same over and over and over. And we've made some changes to that throughout the years. I know recently we had guys saying they just wanted to see more fishing. More fish catch. Well, we can't control that. That's the anglers have to control that. Well, we'd be glad to show every fish caught. So it's things like that we try to change the what the public sees when it comes down to stuff like that.
Well, you know what? That's a great segue into this, because when Joe first approached you and told you, hey, Mark, this is what I'm thinking about doing. This is what we're wanting to put together. How much has that show that he pitched you, how much has that show evolved into what this incredible program that we see is today?
It's the same, the very same. The only thing we've done is we played around with the length of the quarters. Basically that was the main thing, was the length of the quarters. We used to fish 2-hour quarters 14 days straight filming that, and that about killed it. We just couldn't do it anymore. So now we're down to fishing 90-minute quarters, and we shoot it 7 days straight. Unless sometimes we'll go to a 14-day format, but if we do, we'll put a break in between and change lakes. So the basic idea is still exactly the same. We've just played with some of the things, trying to make it a better show.
Well, you said you're fishing 7 days straight, but not with the same two anglers.
No.
Okay.
No,
it's different
match.
anglers each day. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Has there ever been an angler that asked to be on Ultimate Match Fishing that you and Joe Thomas says no? And I'm not asking for a name unless you're willing to give it. But has there ever been anybody that y'all just said, no, we're not going to have them on the air?
Repeat that again, you guys. I might be losing you guys. I'm losing my volume.
I said, has there ever been an angler that asked to be on Ultimate Match Fishing that you and Joe Thomas just said, we don't think we're going to ever have him on? I'm not asking for a name.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, then who was?
And Graf, they wish you'd quit asking.
I was going to ask Mark in the next segment, why haven't I been called?
Hey, Mark, if you will, sit tight for just a minute. We're hoping we can get...
That's the one we held out on. So.
Yeah. We're going to see if we can get control of this volume issue. If you will, I'm going to get you to hang out with us just for a couple of minutes, and we'll be right back with more. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
Mark Randolph, yes, he's the man in black and white, the zebra, the referee from Ultimate Match Fishing, and he's hanging out with us here at Hooking Up and Tracking Down, 1130, The Tiger. Hooking up and tracking down 1130 The Tiger. Thank you for tuning in. Gary McCoy along with the Ranger Daiwa Pro staffer Steve Graff.
I'm here.
The old mud hen Mike Eccles is here. And this show would not be possible today in his stead. You know, normally the greatest producer on the planet, Jay Watley, is here. Yeah. But this week and next, you know, he's on vacation.
He's out.
I think he's doing the hula skirt dancing with the girls in Hawaii, something along those lines.
Well, there's video.
Yeah. They wish he'd put that skirt back on.
Yeah, exactly.
At any rate, we just want to thank our very incredibly talented, second only to Jay Watley.
Yeah.
Matthew Puffenbarger, a.k.a. The Puff.
He's been called off the bench.
Is here. Exactly. You know, he came out of retirement just to handle this. Thank you so much. This segment brought to you by Daiwa Rods and Reels, Bayou Outdoor Super Center, Seagar Fishing Line, and Holy Angels, providing love and support for those with special needs.
Speaking of Holy Angels, 5th Annual Fishing for Angels Bass Tournament is coming up August 25th out of Red River South. $5,000 first place guaranteed. Proceeds benefit the residents of Holy Angels. Scramble format. Lakes include Black Lake, Caddo, Granby, Bistineau, Red River, Toledo Bend, and Cross Lake. So take your pick, guys. Be a great time. Great way to end the fishing season. First cast at 6:30. Must be in weigh-in line by 3 o'clock at Red River South Marina. Registration is Thursday, August 23rd and 24th from noon until 8 each day, and one of the participants from each team must register and get in line and pay you money. It's at Red River South Marina on August 23rd and 24th, registration.
Spending some time with us, the referee from Ultimate Match Fishing, a great friend, Mark Randolph, not only a great angler in his own right, but probably the one guy in America, in the whole world even, who has the temperament to do what he does, to make the calls with some of the high-profile celebrities. Because I'm going to tell you right now, some of the guys that he shares the boat with, these are the best in the business.
Yeah.
And to be able to tell a Kevin Van Dam or a Rick Clunn, hey, dude, you know, you got to take a seat.
Yeah. Well, and that's a good question right there, Gary. Mark, is there any angler that's intimidated you that you felt like, oh man, I can't call him?
I can't tell Rick Clunn.
I can't tell Rick Clunn he threw over the line.
The only guy I ever had one thing to talk about was Benny Brower, and I knew what was going to happen the first time that I blew the whistle on it, and it happened. But it worked out. I mean, I thought about it for a second, and I thought, well, I gonna go with it.
Hey, Mark, we're having a real tough time. We're having a real tough time hearing you right now. I don't know if you've changed the position of your phone or if you moved the truck or something. But we're having.
I haven't. I'm still on the same spot. Is that any better?
A little bit. You say you had a problem with. It was tough on you to call a foul on Denny Brower.
Well, I thought about it for a second before I did it the first time.
It's Denny Brower.
He questioned himself
for a second.
When you're in that environment, those guys are the best in the business, and Ultimate Match Fishing is no slouch when it comes to bringing in the best from BASS and the Elite Series to FLW. I mean, really big names in that industry. Have you seen certain guys that are just better suited for that style of fishing than maybe they would be like out on a regular Elite Series or something along those lines?
Yeah, I have, Gary, but I'm trying to bring one to mind who I know exactly what you're saying. And I guess the first name pops in my head would be Iaconelli. He has a little problem with the pressure. I think the short time frame, the short period. Gerald, he had a little issue with it too. Those would be two of the first things that come to mind that are a lot better fishing than what has fished on our show.
Yeah. Now, who actually really, in your estimation, a couple of guys who have really excelled, just process that information so fast. Obviously, it's got to be Kevin Van Dam or Rick Clunn, either one. But, those guys that really stood out and maybe aren't the elite tier like a Van Dam or a Clunn. Somebody that you went, holy crap, this guy got it this fast. It hasn't translated that well, overall maybe for that season.
Yeah. Dean Rojas. Dean Rojas was fantastic. Dean, he never won. There were so many times where he made some adjustments and was right there. Remember once down at Kentucky Lake against Mark Davis. He made a few adjustments and just caught the snot out of it like the last 15 minutes of the period. But he would be one guy that I think can process things really quick, change what he's got to do and make it happen.
Well, another guy that I know that this fits his style, and he's actually won it, Stetson Blaylock. Stetson's made a career with UMF.
Yeah, he's thank you. Yeah, UMF. Yeah, he's
What did I say the first time?
The other one.
Oh, MLF. Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah, no, Stetson is. He's one of the young guns that just, man, I can't imagine when he was he started his career out in the back of a boat.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he played a few of those pros and being back there because the way he fishes now, he's learned so much from doing that. I'm not sure how many years he was with the Anglo, but man, that dude's got it going on. I mean, he can flat do it.
Take us back to the first show. First time you're in the boat, first two competitors, and the first penalty you got a call. I mean, are you like, steer right, penalty or a foul? Or I mean, was it nerve wracking for you?
No, I was so pumped up I couldn't wait to call on.
You come close, I'm gonna throw you out of the boat.
I got to blow this whistle. I'm dying for somebody to mess up.
You about to choke on that whistle. You're gonna blow it so bad.
Hey, Mark, I know the most common foul is a cast across the imaginary line, dead center of the boat.
Yeah.
What are the other fouls? Is it something about bringing the fish out of the water or something?
Landing it across the line.
Yes, it has to land. It has to land on their side of the boat first.
Okay.
First thing in contact has to be on their side of the boat. Now, where it goes there doesn't matter. But if they're boat swinging them, in other words, guy in the front boat, that fish has to hit something in the front on his half, the same way with the guy in the back.
Okay, it has to land in the boat on his half of the boat. It not where it comes out of the water if you sling it out of the water?
No.
Okay, where it
It's
lands.
the first contact with the boat or his boat.
Okay.
It has to be on his side of the boat.
Well, now it's easy to understand why you came up with the imaginary line down the center of the boat and why it would be a penalty to encroach. Why would there be a penalty for where the fish lands in the boat?
Well, there again, you're just looking for something to make it a little bit tougher for those guys. And, you know, and flipping those fish in the boat is part of what they do. I mean, that's not sometimes it's an easy task. It's got to come in the boat and be on, you know, in a regular tournament. They've got to be able to get those babies in the boat and get them down and get them off. So we kind of just put out in there and make it a little bit tougher for those guys. Little something extra to think about.
Well, you know, you could make them fish on one leg for, you know, for one period or something along those. I mean, there's a lot of ways now. You know, if you left this to me, we could make a real drama. We might even have a comedy show.
Well, I tell you, making guys sit down to fish like Bill Dent might be a little challenging for some of those guys. Most guys want to stand up.
Well, you know, one of the biggest questions I had for you was, do you have to hold a mirror under Mark Davis's nose to find out if he's breathing while he's fishing?
No, but man, I'm saying, you know, we in between periods, one of my favorite things in life is listening to Mark Davis tell stories.
Oh my God, he is the ultimate.
Y'all need to be recording that.
He is the ultimate. Well, and I imagine Denny Brower was probably a hoot as well. He spent a lot of time with us up around here, and he's just, you know, he just real quick-witted.
I agree. I totally agree with that. He is very.
Mark, there's not another format on TV that requires defensive fishing.
Oh, yeah.
The way Ultimate Match does. Explain that last quarter, how somebody can just say, we're not fishing. Yeah. I don't understand that, because when the guy takes the front of the boat, the fourth quarter, if he's in the lead, he can call the tournament. When, the way I'm understanding it, the guy in the back of the boat could still catch a fish. So what am I missing?
Correct. Well, the reason we did that was early when we started this, we had a match where Mr. Iaconelli was leading down at Kentucky Lake. He had a pretty hefty lead and going into the fourth quarter, and all he did was go out in 40 foot of water and drive circles on our boat for an hour and a half. And I don't know if you guys know anything about production costs, but we just didn't want to watch the boat go around in circles for an hour and a half when we had other things to do. So therefore, the rule came up that, hey, instead of doing that, you just say, we're done, and we take it to the ramp. The other thing about that is it plays into the strategy. It plays very much so into the strategy of, okay, do I take first and third or second and fourth? Maybe I'm catching my fish better in the first, but, man, I'd sure like to have the second and fourth period to where if I had a lead, I can slip this guy down.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It makes the corn flip more important.
It does. It really does.
Who's flipping corn?
Corn.
Oh,
coins.
Mark, what, you know, in all the places that you guys have traveled, I mean, you've gotten to see some of America's finest lakes, and a lot of times you saw them at primo times. What would you say after all these years that you've been around, not only in your own professional career, but watching these guys? You know, BASS is every year releasing the top 100 lakes in America. For Mark Randolph, what would you say would be the top 2 or 3 lakes in America right now?
Well, the first one's easy. That's Guntersville. One of my favorite lakes. I know it's getting beat up pretty bad and it's changing, but it's still just a great place to go. And my personal favorite, and we've never been there, is the Potomac River in Washington, D.C. That's a great fishery. And you just catch it there. It's, you got that tidal water. If nobody's ever done that, it's a challenge to figure that tidal water out, and you catch them there. But that's just my personal favorite. Mm-hmm. And then the other one, of course, would be, probably one of the Great Lakes, Erie, St. Clair. Go up there and have the wind blow you all over. It's the only way about that place.
Wow. Now, I was recently watching another one of the shows, and they were fishing the Mississippi River around La Crosse, Wisconsin. Have you spent much time up there?
I have. I actually won a BASS Federation years ago.
Back a few months ago,
that looked like one of the most incredible fisheries. I mean, in the same area, you're catching largemouth, spots, and smallmouth. And maybe, on 3 consecutive casts, you catch one of each species right there. Yeah. Just unreal.
Yeah.
Dude, it is so good to hear from you again, and what a great show that you and Joe Thomas have. Of course, I'm assuming you guys are in it for the long haul. Y'all are planning another 20, 30 years of production.
Believe it or not, we're going into our 14th. Doesn't seem possible, but 14 years of it. But, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We got some things coming down the pipe, maybe different stuff. Actually, I'll tell you the truth, we started the college version of this 11 years ago, back when college fishing was not cool. Mm-hmm. And we all know what's happened over the last 10 years of that. So we're looking at maybe revisiting the college version. We'd like to see that. Not sure what's going to happen with it.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, that's the thing to look forward to coming from us.
You might actually see a real fight then. You know, some young guys in there. I mean, you might see some blows. Y'all
Alabama,
put that on,
Alabama versus LSU.
Whoa. That reminds me. Here's the ultimate matchup, Mark. This is it. Write it down. It would be Keith Poche and Waterhead. What's his name? Ish Monroe.
Ish Monroe.
Yeah, put those two in the put Poche and Monroe in the boat
in
together.
the same boat.
Yes,
and put them in a lock
and make it pay-per-view.
Poche was on that first one that I said we did. Poche was on that show. He was actually a competitor on our first college first.
Wow! Really? Wow!
Yep. He was a young man.
Hey, Mark, thank you, brother. We appreciate you.
Oh, man, I tell you, it's so good to hear from you guys, and I missed everybody in Shreveport. I'm trying to get back out there and do some fishing again. Maybe someday I will.
Hey, dude, you come see us. I guarantee you we can put you on them.
Would love to.
Mark Randolph, he is your ultimate match fishing referee and a true gentleman and scholar. And thank you so much, brother. Sit tight. We're going to check your bass IQ. Got you some outdoor news as well. That's up next. Hooking up and tracking down. 11:30. The Tiger.
Oh, Lord, it's hard. Lord, it's hard to be humble when you're doing what? We're doing the best that we can. You ain't nothing but a hound dog, you're crying all the time. You ain't nothing but a hound dog.
Look at this, hooking up and tracking down 11:30 The Tiger. Gary McCoy along with the Ranger Iowa Pro Staffer Steve Graff. Mudhen Mike Eccles is here. And just a reminder, you can catch us again Saturday mornings, 6 until 8 o'clock, right here on 11:30 The Tiger. This segment brought to you by Natchitoches Ford. Hey, that's the new Jimmy Granger, Natchitoches Ford.
Yeah, it's been sold, and the Braxton family is no longer in that business. Jimmy Granger has taken it over.
Jimmy Granger, and let me tell you what, he's been a friend of this program for a long time. Jimmy Granger is just a cool guy. So excited to see him there. Wildwood Resort at Toledo Bend. Davis Clothing and Outdoor, clothing, apparel, and hunting products for everyone who enjoys the great outdoors.
All right, here's a little, let's see, is that it? Yeah, that's it. Bass IQ. Tell me if I've done this one before, because I'm not for sure.
I'm not going to tell him if you don't.
Other than Brian Kerschel, who won the 94 Bassmaster Classic, who is the only nation qualifier to lead the Classic at the end of competition day. Who is the only BASS nation qualifier to lead a Classic at the end of a competition day?
I'm not following the question.
Brian Kerschel won the Classic.
Yeah, and he was a federation.
He was a federation angler.
Okay. Right.
Who's the only other federation angler to be leading the Classic at any of the competition days?
Jerry, is it Juiced?
Yes.
Jerry Juiced.
Yes.
Art Ferguson.
Yes.
Terry McWilliams or Brandon Pollinek?
It was Jerry Juiced.
You know Jerry Hustis, one from South Africa?
Yeah, that's the
okay,
one.
Hustis, yeah.
Okay,
Hustis.
yeah.
Okay.
Hustis.
Well, hey, we're
that's why there's three of us on this program.
Let me tell you right now. If Cliff Swift had just named them all from South Africa, the same thing, we could say all their names.
That's right.
You know,
you're right. Hustis led the '97 Classic at the end of day one.
Yeah,
he did a good job.
Yeah.
All right. Number 2. In what city did Dr. James A. Henshaw's book of black bass, was it published? In what city? Atlanta, Georgia; London, England; Cincinnati, Ohio; New York, New York.
In what?
Yeah.
Let me read the questions.
In what city was Dr. James A. Henshaw's book of the black bass published?
I'm going to go
Book of the Black Bass.
I'm going to go with London, England.
Really?
Well, you stepping out there.
Yep.
And what were some of the other choices?
Atlanta, Georgia; Cincinnati, Ohio. I'll go with Cincinnati.
I'm on my second choice would be New York, but I'm going to go
New
with
York.
London.
New York is the fourth.
And what city was it published? Well, it had to be New York.
You think New York. Cincinnati.
Ah,
look at me.
Graf wins one.
That's wrong.
Right?
He already saw the answers. I mean, he's asking the
I'm
question.
actually looking at one at a time here. Green pumpkin, the top-selling color of soft baits for bass, was first marketed by which bait company? Gene LaRue, Berkeley, Gary Yamamoto Custom Baits, or Zoom?
Had to be Zoom. Wasn't it Zoom?
I'm going to say Yamamoto.
Really?
His color line is insane.
We had green pumpkin before Zoom came out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it had to be Gene LaRue?
Yep.
Okay.
You think Gene LaRue? All right, I'm going Yamamoto. The color was created by accident after a run of watermelon baits. It was transitioned into a run of pumpkin at Zoom Bait Company.
Oh! And y'all trying to talk me out of it. I told
Bogart,
you.
Georgia, manufacturing facility. Knowing a good thing when they saw it, the Zoom staff began marketing the color.
Okay. So,
And that's the number one selling color?
Yeah.
Really?
so and it's what?
Green pumpkin.
Green pumpkin.
Yeah.
Not watermelon.
Oh, okay.
Green pumpkin.
Okay.
Yeah.
The top selling colors.
I was confused.
You know, there's that California 220. You know where they came up? 420. You know where they came up with that color?
No, I mean, I know what it is, but who did it?
He doesn't know. He doesn't. Puff, you got to help him out. What would California 420 be colored like? It has a cannabis kind of a color. California 420.
Do you know what color that is?
Yes, I
What
know
color is it?
It is cannabis color.
No.
Green
What colors
leaf,
are two
man.
colors are involved in 420?
420 is a watermelon green
And
Gold.
and
No.
and a green pumpkin.
no, watermelon red and black neon.
Okay, now do you know what?
I don't know what cannabis looks like. So
This
you
isn't,
know what
this
California-
isn't some San Francisco clothes designer, is it?
No, 420.
I'm drawing a blank.
That's the old. How do you tell the old guys what 420 means, Puff?
Well, in the days of the Grateful Dead, some college kids, to mark their smoking time and habits, would, hey, man, let's meet up at 420, and they go out back behind the school
smoke
and
a
burn
doobie.
I've
one.
never heard that before. Really? Huh.
Yeah, there you go.
That's what Puff's here for.
You didn't know that, Mike?
Okay.
No.
Now you know what. Every time you get a California
I
420,
never even had a watch.
Okay. Who is generally credited with bringing Florida strains large? Now you need to hang tight with me on this one, Gary. Who is generally credited with bringing Florida strain largemouth to the California basin, where their progeny produced some of the largest bass in history? Which guy, I guess, brought Florida bass to California?
wow.
Orville.
Wait a second. I'm gonna write this down.
You
Let me see what your answer.
no.
Let me see what
You
your
writing
answer.
your answer down?
I wrote my answer
Okay.
down. Yeah. Well,
Here are the options: Orville B. Paul, Lunker Bill Murphy, Ronald Reagan, or Dave Zimmerly. That's your fourth choice.
I'm gonna say Ronald Reagan.
I'm kind of leaning with Gary.
I'm gonna go Ronald Reagan. Who'd you write down? Who'd you write? Eddie Murphy. No.
I wrote down Tom Mann. I don't know why.
Tom Mann ain't never been to California.
I don't know.
Ball was the San Diego Fish and Wildlife Superintendent.
Ball.
Yep, Ball.
So
Orville.
why would we know that?
Orville Ball.
Why would we know that?
I got
don't
one
know.
better than that.
Yeah.
Why would we care?
All right, some outdoor news for you. Because I know that little bit of
I had another one for y'all, another 4, but we'll go on to that.
That little entertaining segment right there, boys, got you sitting on the edge of your seat. Big news out of Baton Rouge.
Yes.
Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries is cautioning deer hunters about the use of deer urine lures because of the potential that these products could contain chronic wasting disease. I'd have never thought of that in a million years.
Me either.
When they start collecting that urine, is it possible that they've collected urine of a doe that was
infected.
suffering from CWD?
Yeah.
And then, I wonder how long is that CWD present in there before whatever it's got in it, before that would die, before the actual disease would die out. CWD is a neurodegenerative disease found in most deer species, including moose, elk, mule deer, and whitetail deer. It is infectious and always fatal.
Yeah.
100% of the time. CWD has not been discovered in Louisiana, but has been in 25 states, including Texas, Arkansas, and Mississippi. It's all around us.
Yep.
But it has not come aboard here, or we have not found it.
Yeah.
Maybe our testing efforts have not determined that it's made its presence. Urine production and sale is not regulated by any state or federal agency.
That surprises me.
Here's the real story.
Yeah, exactly.
Now they have figured out how they can get more government monies.
Yeah.
This is the real story. The production of these lures includes collecting urine through grates at captive cervid facilities. That allows mixing with saliva and feces, which typically have a higher CWD prion content than urine. The CWD prion is shed by infected animals through saliva, feces, urine, blood, antler velvet, and decomposing carcasses. LDWF veterinarian Dr. Jim LeCoeur said there is no way to guarantee that deer urine lure products do not contain the deadly disease. There is no rapid, cost-effective test to determine if commercial urine proteins or contains prions. 7 states have banned the use of deer urine lures, including Alaska, Arkansas, Arizona, New Mexico, Pennsylvania, Vermont, and Virginia.
I think the potential danger from CWD being in a bottle of deer lure is minimum. I mean, because you put it on a rack, you put it on your boot.
Yeah. Put it on a rag, hang it in a tree.
Yeah, I mean the actual deer coming in contact with that, I think is
now.
So
I have seen them go up and sniff a rag hanging in a tree.
Yeah,
before.
but
I'm going to tell you this: the I guess the elimination of using that is that more beneficial than just taking the chance that one case of CWD comes into the state and becomes an entire.
I think that's like stopping 1 grain of salvia coming into a lake. You're not going to stop.
Okay.
The only way I can see that being a factor is if you got a corn pile and you circled that corn pile with that deer urine.
I've never seen anybody do that.
I'm just saying if that happened, that would infect the corn, which would in turn.
Right.
Okay, great job, Oklahoma. And I'm going to have to pat Oklahoma on the back.
Oh, I'm telling you, I'm impressed
Oklahoma
with
is the only state that I know of that does everything they can to make your hunting better.
Yes.
They are the most proactive state I've ever seen.
Game
wardens in north central and northwestern Oklahoma are looking for some young hunters to join them on select Tuesdays and Thursdays in August to bust some clay pigeons in preparation for the September 1st dove season opener. Game wardens in the Wildlife Department Law Enforcement District 8 will conduct a shotgun training education program, STEP, sessions to help young hunters practice 2 common dove shots, the incoming and the crossing shot. All classes are free and open to the youth between the ages of 10 and 16 as long as they are at least 52 inches tall. You must be this tall to get on this ride.
He's borderline.
I love him.
The Oklahoma Department of Wildlife Conservation will provide 20 gauges and 12 gauge shotguns, or youth may bring their 20 or 12 gauge shotgun that they take hunting. Other gauges are not permitted, probably because they're furnishing the shells. All firearms must be unloaded and cased. Ammunition will be provided free for liability reasons. Youth are required to shoot Department provided ammo. Classes are limited to 25 students each.
That's great.
That's awesome.
That is great.
is.
And
Absolutely
free ammo.
awesome.
I mean, you think about how much of it, they've taken a chance that there are going to be 100, 200 kids out there. That's really, really good stuff.
And real quick, 23 new game wardens have been graduated from the Texas Game Warden, ready for action. Congratulations.
They're going to give them their badge on July the 30th.
Yep.
Their gun on July 31st, and a bullet September the 1st.
Hopefully they won't need the bullet.
Hey, we're going to have you cook supper.
Yeah, we're going to cook supper.
We've got one of Carla's recipes.
Yes, we do.
Carla Nesbitt from Bellevue Meat Processing. One of her recipes is next. Hooking up and tracking down 1130 the Tiger.
Only daddy that'll walk the line.
Thanks a lot for tuning in. Again, we are hooking up and tracking down 1130 the Tiger. It's Gary McCoy along with the Ranger Iowa Pro Staffer Steve Graff, the old mud hen Mike Eccles, and a little word from Candyman Pet Lodge. In fact, thanks again to Wayne Neeson and the whole gang from Candyman Pet Lodge. A first-class kennel.
He'll be on next week.
Wayne Neeson offers both inside and outside facilities. One-on-one dog training is available if you need just regular obedience, or if you're working with a lab trying to get them refreshed for the upcoming season. Anything along those lines, Wayne will be glad to help you out. Grooming and bathing also available. Special place for man's best friend, located just west of Greenwood, Louisiana. If you want to make reservations, just talk with Wayne. What's available? What can he help you with? Maybe set up a plan for your dog to get that training or just boarding. You can call Wayne Neeson and the gang at Candyman Pet Lodge, 903-766-DOGS, 903-766-DOGS.
Here's your Daiwa Samurai Braid, best times to fish. This weekend is rated as excellent for all 3 days. We will be under a new moon this weekend. Temperatures will range from the low 90s with the lows dipping into the 70s at night. Best times to fish midday and early afternoon. Friday, 11:12 a.m. to 2:12 p.m. Sunrise at 6:35, sunset at 8:04. Saturday, 12:12 to 3:12 p.m. Sunrise at 6:36, sunset 8:03. Sunday, be out there casting from 1:09 to 4:09 p.m. Sunrise at 6:36, sunset at 8:02. This has been your Daiwa Samurai Braid. Best times to fish.
Right after church Sunday. Head to the lake.
Hey,
if you want some great wild game recipes, check out our new website, HUTDshow.com, an information resource for all things related to the great outdoors. This segment brought to you by Nichols Department Stores, Gamakatsu Hooks, Spro Lures, and Natchitoches Ford. Get ready for hunting season with a new F-150 4x4 from Natchitoches Ford. Tell them that you heard about it with Hooking Up and Tracking Down, that we sent you there. And speaking of those recipes, you're going to put this one on the website?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Every week.
Every week we'll be posting a new one.
When you go to Bellevue Meat Processing, like Mike was saying a little earlier, probably the best thing that you could do is take your wife with you.
Yep.
And let her see the display area that's there.
Take your wife and leave your billfold at home.
I'm telling you, not only is she going to find little knickknacks and spices and stuff like that, but she's also going to find the collection of wild game recipes from Bellevue Meat Processing. It's called Oh Dear, What's for Dinner? Odeer.
Great book.
A recipe here. You know, today is some sneaks. It's sneak some zucchini onto your neighbor's porch day. I swear, National Day.
Hide your zucchini in your neighbor's.
I knew it was going there. And while you
can't help yourself.
While you've got your zucchini out, I'm gonna tell you what you do with it.
Put it back up.
We got this neat video of what to do with your zucchini.
Check out our website.
Yeah, buddy. We got a brand new website, the After Midnight version on the Adult Swim. No, this is a recipe that Carla's got here for smoked sausage and zucchini skillet. Now, I'm assuming this is like a stir dinner of sorts.
Like a stir fry.
Yeah. 1 pound of Bellevue smoked sausage, venison, or wild pork. It will work with either. A teaspoon of garlic, 2 cups of grape or cherry tomatoes, a half a cup of chopped onion, 1 teaspoon of oregano, 1 yellow squash sliced, 1 zucchini sliced. Now, they don't tell you whether or not you slice it across or if you slice it into slivers or what. Half a teaspoon of red pepper flakes, a half a teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of olive oil. Heat the skillet over a medium heat. Is that what's medium heat? Is that like,
325?
325, okay.
Yeah.
Melt your butter in a pan, then you add the sliced or diced onion and cook until soft. Mix in the garlic, cook a few minutes, and then add sliced Bellevue smoked sausage. Brown the sausage about 5 minutes. Then you add your veggies and your seasonings and cook until the yellow squash and the zucchini are soft but still has a little bit of crunch to it. Serve this dish over a bed of steamed rice. Completely heart-healthy, quick meal.
Wow, that sounds good.
I'm
hungry now.
And you read that so fast they couldn't write it down, so they can find it on the website.
It's on the website, HUTDshow.com. And of course, we're going to start doing this on a regular basis, sharing some of these recipes from Carla's book. When you go into Bellevue Meat Processing, you carry that first deer, opening day of season, archery season. Go ahead and pick you up a copy of this. Do a little shopping early because you're already out of snack sticks from last year.
Oh, and great gift ideas. Carla's got some great gift ideas in there.
Here's another little story I found, and it was entitled "A Rip-Off Inspired by Nature." Now, you said you did this on your show, morning show here a few weeks ago. But people listen to this show don't listen to you.
No.
A lot of guys go hunting hoping to bring home a buck, but George de Mastrel went hunting and brought home a $1 million idea, or an idea worth $1 million. George headed off into the Alps on a hunting trip with his dog in 1941. The pair were soon plagued with burdock burrs, or basically cockaburrs, sticking to the fur of the dog and the clothing. The unwelcome hitchhikers were so persistent, Mastrel became curious about how they worked. He took them home, studied them at length, and he noticed how the burrs' tiny hooks grabbed anything with a loop. This gave him the brilliant idea. It took nearly a decade and a half of false starts, rejections, failures, dismissals, and ridicule before George eventually found the right method and materials. His stick-to-itiveness finally paid off with a patent nowadays known as Velcro. If you think about it, it's odd. A hunter invented Velcro. You would figure that it would have been a fisherman that came up with a product that was the ultimate catch and release. Velcro invented. The idea came about in 1941 because of a hunter and a kookaburra.
I'm going to bet you right now that you won't go 24 hours that you don't in some way contact Velcro.
You're probably right.
Whether it be on your tennis shoes or it's something in your truck or, it's something in the boat, whatever the case might be, maybe your shaving kit, something that you've touched every day's got Velcro on it.
Yeah. Yep.
We go on a vacation. We stay in a swimming pool the whole time that we're gone. So a bathing suit with drawstrings and Velcro, it can be one of the most aggravating things you've ever done. No, seriously, you cannot keep the drawstrings out of the Velcro. I told Charlotte, throw all those away, buy me some that has big safety pins or something. No Velcro on a bathing suit. I'm telling you.
Only Eccles. I swear.
Where has she been shopping for you?
No, seriously. Look at a bathing suit and see if you don't have some Velcro on it.
It's going to be on my pocket if I have a pocket.
Yeah. Mine does.
I want to see. Bring a pair of those next week. I
know
want to see those.
Billy Phipps is listening right now going, you know what? If I was him, I'd just shoot myself.
And now Billy Phipps is saying, I brought these guys donuts last week.
Hey, next week, I'm hoping that we'll get to visit with Gavin Spinney, who not only is my preacher, but, every year we have a big a fall beast feast and welcome in hunting season, and we start the big buck contest and stuff like that. He's the pastor at First Baptist Houghton and has really done a great outdoor ministry. Well, he has joined forces recently with Lynn Beatty, and I can't remember Dennis's last name for the life of me right now, but they have the Way It Was television show. I want to say
a new show, right?
Yeah, I want to say it's like Friday nights about 10:30. I can't remember. It does air again, but I know it comes on Friday nights at 10:30 on the Pursuit channel. Mm-hmm. And I watched the episode last week. They were actually out catching catfish and goo or buffalo in hoop nets. Mm-hmm. And it's the way it was. It's about family and about the things that we do around here. Yeah. From hoop nets and frog gigging to bird hunting and deer hunting and stuff of that nature. And Gavin gives a great Christian message at the end of every show. He takes that show and what they've learned in that show, and then he demonstrates how in the Bible. that was relative to that. Mm-hmm. And so Gavin's going to be on the show with us and give us a little bit of insight. Al Linder does the
same thing on his show.
I love that part of Al Linder's show.
Al Linder does the same thing.
I just wish I could understand him. He talks in Yankee, and I don't know what language that is.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
But I do love the fact that he spends a little bit of time around the fire pit and will read a passage from the Bible and goes through that. And I think that a lot more of our outdoorsmen need to remember that there are so many people that are tuned in, and there are so many people that could truly use that. And I talked to Lynn Beatty the other day, and since they've started the way it was, I don't remember the exact number, but I want to say that through their line, they know of several people who have actually accepted Jesus Christ as their personal Savior just because of that show.
Hey,
speaking of
wrong with that.
manly men and godly men, this past Saturday in Minden, they had a memorial service for Willard Moore, who passed away a couple of weeks ago, and it was very well attended. The church was full, and you visited with Jamie and the kids, and we're just going to miss Willard.
What an awesome man.
Yep. Oh, man.
And, to think that I guess it would be a goal of any one of the three of us to be able to leave that kind of legacy, to the fact that, that you've made a difference in your community, in your fellow man.
Well, and speaking of that, my fan base had reached out to me a couple of weeks ago, Gary, when you were out playing.
Both people?
Playing with your baby's mama up in Arkansas.
What did that one person say?
Me and Mike were back in studio, and we talked about our product
Sherry
of the week.
called him.
It was a Stetson bug-free hat and sunscreen, built-in sunscreen. Well, as I got home, my phone rang, and it was a good friend of mine, dear friend of David Parker's, and he got on to me. He said, Graf, get your butt to the dermatologist and get those spots burned off. He said, man, there ain't no excuse in you not having taken care of that, because I had 2 spots. Well, I got them burned off yesterday, one right here and one on the back of my ear. George Hodges, it is done, George, okay? So don't be calling me, harassing me no more.
George is one of the finest men you could ever
I love
to
old
know.
George. I love him, man.
He's it was so funny. Me and Pete Daniels, my fishing partner, were talking about George down on Toledo Bend in the Boss Championship. And Pete said something that I thought was so profound. He says, the good Lord himself can't wait for George Hodges to get there, because George has earned such a special place in God's heart for all that he was to David Parker.
Yeah. Oh, ain't no doubt.
And George was one of those, matter of fact, we sat side by side in the church at Willard's memorial.
Yeah.
George was there.
Awesome guy. Now, what else is in the plans for next week?
I don't know. I hadn't looked that far ahead.
The show just kind of throws itself together.
We do this the day before it happens, okay? All right. We got one more final word. All right. Here we go.
That once is all right.
Here we go. This week's final word. This is the time of year we've all been waiting for. Football season and Friday night lights. College game day on Saturdays. NFL's cranking up with its preseason games. But I also get a little fired up because dove season is only a few weeks away, which kicks off another great hunting season. After a couple of weeks of dove hunting, then you got teal season, which takes us all the way into bow season, which kicks off October 1st. Then we can hunt some bushy tails right before primitive weapons season. All this means one thing. Fall is almost here, and nothing gets the blood flowing better than waking up on those cool, crisp mornings, grabbing your favorite weapon, and heading into the woods. For Mike Eccles, Gary McCoy, yours truly, Steve Graff, thanks for listening. Tune in next week here on 1130 The Tiger for more hooking up and tracking down.